Hi guys, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's my favorite kind of day, stormy and rainy. I'm gonna do a video today. I read an article and I forgot to put the name of the article. If you wanted to check it out for yourself, I'm sorry. I know somebody's gonna say, well, where'd you get your information? I don't remember, it just came across my feed in one of my social media accounts, so sorry about that. But I found it interesting and I thought maybe it would be of interest to someone else. So what it was about was what you can keep in the refrigerator or should keep in the refrigerator as opposed to what you should not keep in the refrigerator. And some of this is just kind of up to the individual person. And some of it is good tips because the first one, coffee, I've heard a lot of people throughout my life say that you should keep your coffee in the refrigerator. But according to this article, it's so humid and cold inside of a refrigerator that it makes the coffee, it kind of sucks the taste out of it if it sits in there. And so it's really not, it's not keeping it fresher than it would be just sitting in your cabinet. The other thing is butter. I don't know if they were talking about the tubs of the fake butter. I assume they were talking about sticks of real butter, and that's what I use. I quit using the tubs of butter. It just looked nasty and never tasted for real to me. And I always leave my butter sitting out. I have for years, and this article said that it was fine and it spreads better and it doesn't hurt it. And, you know, scientifically it should be the other way around, but it really is fine to leave it sit out on the counter. Eggs. This is a controversial one. I always put my eggs in the refrigerator. The article said if you buy eggs that are refrigerated, when you bring them home, keep them refrigerated. If you get them from a farmer's market or a farmer on the stand or your own chicken coop or whatever, you can keep them in a bowl on the counter and they will not spoil. It'll be perfectly fine. Still freaks me out a little bit, but that's what they said. And I know that my niece has chickens, and for years she's collected their eggs and just kept them in a bowl on her countertop, and they've been fine. So the other thing was onions, whole, unpeeled, uncut onions. They said that the starches that are inside the onion will convert to sugar and get nasty and soupy inside if you keep them in the refrigerator. I've never kept those in my refrigerator. I only keep them in the refrigerator in an onion specified container because the smell, you know, you can get those ones that don't allow the smell to come out. But I only put them in the refrigerator after I've got leftovers from cutting them up for something else. Bulbs of fresh garlic don't need to be in the refrigerator. They need to be in a ventilated container in a cool, dry place. And they do better that way, and they'll remain in that cool, dry place in a ventilated container for a really long time. And they said that if you keep them in a unventilated container, that they'll mold really quick. So, what else did I write down? I hope this isn't too boring. Avocados. Now, the way I do it, and the way I was always taught, was you get avocados that are a little less than ripe, and you put them in either a brown paper bag and put them in your pantry, or just put them in the pantry. When they start to get soft, you know, it's either they're not ready to eat or they are ready to eat that minute, you know. So when they start to get a little bit soft, then I was always taught to put them in the refrigerator because it stops the ripening process or slows it down. But this article said, no, as soon as they're ripe, cut them all up and do something with them and eat them right away. Well, I mean, that's not always possible. So I'm going to probably continue to put mine in the refrigerator because it just works better for me. I can't eat 6 avocados that get ripe overnight, you know. I don't think most people can. And it's never hurt them, really. So another one that I was surprised about, cucumbers. They said they don't have to be in the refrigerator. You can leave them out in a fruit and vegetable bowl on your counter and they will be just fine. They don't need to be chilled and the flavor is better if they're warm. I disagree. I think the coldness in the cucumber sliced up with some ranch dressing, don't tell anyone, is the bomb. So I'm probably gonna keep mine in the refrigerator. Spices. I think one of my aunts used to put her spices in the refrigerator and I always thought it was weird because my mom never did that. But the humidity inside the refrigerator will cause the spices to lose their flavor and sometimes they'll get like clumped together and who wants to use like, you know, have to pull apart clumps of a spice when you want to use it. So just leave those in the counter. It's a whole lot easier and it's not dangerous. And another thing that I've never done is tomatoes. My sister-in-law always put tomatoes in the refrigerator and immediately they lose their flavor and they lose their juiciness and they're just not as good. They're just not good. So they said they don't have to be refrigerated. Just keep them in your pantry in a cool, dry place. And they have a lot more flavor when you're ready to eat them than if you would have put them in the refrigerator. I agree. Another thing that most of us do is we refrigerate our mustard and ketchup. And they said there's nothing in mustard and ketchup, even after they're opened, that needs to go in the refrigerator. So you can just put it back in your pantry, according to this article that I read. And I was kind of surprised at that because, you know, and probably like most of you, ever since I was little, we always kept our ketchup and mustard in the refrigerator on the door where everybody knew where it was for sandwiches and stuff. So yeah, I thought that one was kind of interesting. Also berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, all the berries. They're juicier if you keep them at room temperature. This is another one. I'm always going to put my berries in the refrigerator because that's something that I do like cold. I don't think that they lose that much juiciness being in the refrigerator personally. We eat them up pretty fast and it doesn't make that much of a difference in how they taste or how juicy they are if I've had them laying on the counter or if I've had them in the refrigerator. Doesn't matter. So I'm probably going to continue to do that. Olive oil. I don't know anybody that keeps olive oil in the refrigerator, but I'm sure someone does. And the article said, I'm sorry, I'm a little allergy today. The olive oil in the refrigerator, it causes, you know, condensation and it damages the oil and will ruin the flavor of an olive oil that you buy. And some of those can be quite pricey. The better the olive oil, the pricier it is. So if you splurge on that and you really want the good olive oil, don't keep it in the refrigerator. Just keep it in the cabinet. And then the last one is basil. Some spices, fresh spices is what I'm talking about. They said cilantro and parsley do well in the refrigerator. They like it in there. Basil does not. It sucks up all the moisture in the refrigerator and gets wet and it gets moldy and it gets all shriveled and nasty. I'm sure you've seen it. It gets, like when you have lettuce in there too long, slimy is the word. It's slimy. So I hope this wasn't too boring and I hope maybe you learned something. I don't No. But I wanted to check in and say hi. Also, I have a lot of new subscribers. Thank you a million times. So I was thinking about a Q&A. I've got some questions that I found that I have written down. I thought I would do this on Friday. So if you'd like to see a Q&A and you have any questions, let's just put them in the comment box down below instead of having you go over to Instagram and all that happiness. If you have any questions for me, just put them down below and I will be happy to answer them. And I will do that on Friday if you're interested. So thank you and happy hump day, and I'll see you in the next one.